Hey folks, welcome back to another edition of RV with the Tanners. I'm Jim Tanner, and what I'm going to be talking about today is a new cell phone booster. I'll put a link up, whatever corner it pops up in, whatever YouTube allows me to do, on our old one. And that one is about 3 years old, and it did a really good job for us, but as with always, technology changes over time. So I've been looking for something to continue to enhance our cell phone coverage when Melinda and I are out boondocking in some pretty remote locations that typically don't have good cell coverage. So what I was able to do was to find a new one from SureCall, and the one they sent was this Fusion2Go 3.0. Fusion2Go 3.0. Kind of rhymes. And the nice thing about this one is, you know, it's a newer technology, and they give you a couple different options and the way to actually configure it. We've been very impressed with it on multiple occasions we've camped at this year. This is what the actual device looks like that your antennas and then your receivers or transmitters plug into. I'll pop up a picture of the back of our RV. I've got the antenna on there now with a flagpole arm that sticks way up. The antenna itself is an omnidirectional antenna, and that means you don't have to actually point it in the direction. You know, some of the old ones schools you had to figure out where the cell phone tower was and direct your antenna towards that. No longer you needed to do that because it just looks around 360 degrees and then finds the best cell tower to use. And again, that's about 15 feet off the top of our RV. They want it away, at least 12 feet away from like metal and other objects on your RV. So our flagpole does a really good job of that. If you don't have one, I can give you a link to where we got ours. But they're pretty fun to have for something like this. It does not interfere with our Wi-Fi booster, and I'll do an updated video on that. We have a new one of those coming as well. So depending on where we are, if we're in an RV park, we use the Wi-Fi booster. If we're out boondocking somewhere way out, what we end up doing is just using the cell phone booster. So what you'll see in the picture that I'm going to show you is the omnidirectional antenna up on the top, and it's about 6 to 8 inches in height. And then you put that on the pole, send it way up in the air, and then the cable comes down. A nice thing about this kit is it actually comes with a U-ring adapter that goes around my cell phone or around my flagpole, and then I could tighten it down. I had to go out and buy that in the kit that I had before. It wasn't a couple of dollars. It wasn't expensive, but it's just nice to have it out of the box and you don't have to make a trip to Home Depot. Again, so this is what the box looks like. Pretty impressive. It comes with a lot of great stuff. There's one receiver antenna on the roof, and then there's another one that looks like this. So this is magnetic, and this would be great for any of you who are in a motorhome that want to have it working while you're driving down the road. Unfortunately, with our fifth wheel, I can't have that thing sticking 15 feet up in the air. It'd get whacked when we went over some overpasses, so it's not really possible for us. And I have everything wired here in the RV, so it's not really necessary for us to put it in the truck. Would it be nice? Yeah, and I guess once we do retire and we're traveling all over the country, we might look into doing that. But right now, it's pretty much landlocked for us inside the RV. It then comes with two types of antennas to rebroadcast the signal inside your RV. This one, I've already inserted on here, and they recommend that you put it at a 90-degree angle away from the actual hardware itself. And there's a bunch of LED indicators on here that tell you when you're green and when everything is working well. The other one that they have, and this antenna works really nice if you're in your RV and you want multiple people to have access with their cell phones. But what we typically do when we're camping is we use a hotspot. It's back over here. This little guy from Netgear. And so rather than to use this antenna, what we typically do is use this little candy bar antenna. It's included in the kit too, and it comes with probably 30 feet of cable. It's all wound up right now. So what we typically do, rather than try to use our cell phones, is I take my hotspot and then I set it right on top of this repeater that you get it away from the actual device. It works great for us then. We can do Wi-Fi calling, and then all of our devices, either if it's a laptop or our cell phones, they know the SSID of this, so I don't have to try to log in. I don't have to try to create a hotspot on my phone to get other devices working. So if you have a hotspot, I recommend just using this little candy bar guy rather than this antenna. But if you don't, this antenna works really well too. I can get coverage throughout the RV, probably about 5-6 feet away. It doesn't work really well outside the RV. I've kind of gone to the other side of the RV and tried to hold up my phone to see if I could get a signal. In our RV, it doesn't work well. It does not go through the walls very well. So if you're thinking that's going to work, you're going to set it up inside your RV and then sit out by the campfire and get cell coverage. You probably won't get that to work for you. So what we do to get coverage outside is, again, we just jump back to our hotspot using the little candy bar guy hotspot, and it throws a Wi-Fi signal out there, and that works really well for us. Final tip on wiring the device from the outside. So off of the flagpole, it comes in with the cabling, the wiring, and I have a little hole in my screen where we kind of snake the wire through. It doesn't stay there all the time because obviously it comes in and out as we travel from one spot to the other, but it works really well. It's a very, very tiny hole. We can shut the window, and then the wire kind of just sneaks underneath it. So if it's raining really hard, there's no way water can get in, and we can still use it during any kind of storm like that. So that works pretty well for us. Okay, so here's the setup inside the RV. Got it all plugged back in. The only real complaint I have is I kind of wish the power cord here was on the other side so this wasn't kind of cluttered up and I could hide the cable. It's just nitpicking, but there's something to think about. Now what you can see, if I can focus in on my cell phone, there we go. Now you can see that I have at this point, well, it just jumped all the way to all the bars. So what is that? 5 out of 5 bars of LTE coverage. That's fantastic. Quite often I'll walk in here and it's at 4 bars. So luckily during the video here, it actually jumped up to 5, but realistically I see it at around 4 bars. So really, really nice to have that coverage. My hotspot, as I talked to you about earlier, is sitting here. It does not do as good a job as picking up from the antennas, from the antenna from the broadcast over to the hotspot. So when we want to use that, I will change over to the candy bar. That's what we call it. This guy here from SureCall. And then I'm going to hook that up next, and then we'll pop back over and show you how well the hotspot's working. The hotspot has 2 bars of coverage coming off of the SureCall device. That's really going well for this device. He does okay, but if any of you people have recommendation on a hotspot, please put it down in the links. This guy has not been that impressive for me, but coming from no LTE to 2 bars of LTE does a pretty good job. But realistically, if you have a recommendation, I'd love to hear from you on one that could do a little bit better. As you remember, the phone, it went all the way up to 5 bars of coverage, so there's really no reason why the Netgear can't. Hey folks, that's about a wrap to this video on this cell phone booster. It's done a world of good for us. We're pretty impressed with it. We've had it for about 6 months, and I didn't want to come right out and do a video. I wanted to put it through its tests, and we've been boondocking to about 4 different locations now. In every spot we went to, this has done a great job of pulling in coverage. Some was limited, some was not, but it definitely got us coverage where there was none before. So if you're looking for something, make sure you take a look at this SureCall Fusion2Go 3.0. That's still pretty funny to say, so I'll put a link to it down below if you're interested. If you have any other questions on the device that I did not answer during this video, just put them down below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye. So if you haven't done so yet, please remember to hit the subscribe button and then hit the little bell so that it reminds you when we post new videos.